We get a lot of questions from men coming in asking for help with their fertility, right? How long does it actually take to become fertile again? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Like, I don't have that much time, right? I'm 40, whatever the case might be. How long does it actually take to become, from subfertile to infertile to actually fertile again, right? If you're trying to have a kid and it's just not working, this is something that your doctor won't tell you, right? The thing is that sperm regenerates every 72 days, right? So it's sort of a 72-day cycle, 3 months, give or take, you can kind of round it up. But spermatogenesis as a whole really is this 3-month cycle, okay? So around day 1 to 25 is sort of the development period, right? This is where the very, very early stages of your sperm that are in the testes are kind of developing, and it's kind of building up, right? They're kind of developing in that sense. So this is where, you're not going to see much improvement. The first 25 days, they're just sort of developing. And then the first, the 25 days to 72-day mark, which is actually the majority of this process, is the maturation, right? So the sperm's actually now maturing, right? Think of, day 1 through 25 as sort of like the prepubescent sort of stages. And then now they're actually hitting their preteen, right? They're getting their hormones, right? Now they're maturing in that sense. So this is things like the sperm will actually get the tail, right? It'll start swimming, and the DNA packaging actually begins happening as well, right? So this sperm is fermenting and maturing in that sense. So, and then anywhere past 73 days is sort of the ejaculation stage, which is where it's ready to be ejaculated. It's fully matured, it's ready to go. And there are some caveats, if you actually wait too long to ejaculate, that this whole cycle, this batch, if you will, is sort of reabsorbed in the body and used for other sperm processes. But essentially what it means is your sperm today does not equal your lifestyle today. So like I was saying, a lot of questions we get, the majority of the questions is how long does it actually take to fix my fertility naturally, right? I don't want to do IVF. I want to do it naturally, fix it first. How long will it take? And the reality really is, your sperm today does not equal your lifestyle today. Okay, so if right this second, right, your sperm as it exists in this current time is a consequence or maybe even an advantage of your lifestyle changes or even bad habits of 3 months ago, right? I guess you can imagine like a time capsule kind of thing, right? So your sperm right now is a time capsule of your actions 3 months ago. What that means is, your sperm today is a lifestyle of you 72 days ago, essentially, okay? So what does this actually look like, and what really matters the most, and sort of, what happens through this whole month process is, what this means really is month 1 is sort of the early changes. So let's say you get tested and your sperm count is 15 million, right? That's about, let's say, 50 to 60% below the normal range. You want to be looking at least 39 million of sperm count, and let's just say it's 15 million, right? So you start making some changes in your lifestyle, and we'll kind of get into what that looks like over here in a little bit. But you're making changes, right? You don't really feel anything, maybe a little bit, maybe you feel a little better, whatnot, but nothing's really changing that first month, right? It's sort of a compound effect. Now, month 2, you actually 2 through 3 actually, you see visible improvement. And what that looks like is, say your sperm count was 15 million over here, now it's about maybe 30 million, 32 million, right? You actually start to feel better as well, right? So you're noticing these small changes in your actual, even like, physique and health, how you feel, how you're sleeping, and just overall, you'll retest at that 2 to 3 month mark. Because like I said, that's where it's really, you're seeing some improvement. Keep in mind, this whole spermatogenesis process lasts 72 days, about 3 months. So around that mark, you actually will see improvement, right? Because that new batch is coming in, the new batch of sperm is coming in. So you'll see results within 2 to 3 months. And then by month 6, you're really getting, 2 cycles in, right? So month 6 is essentially just 2 spermatogenesis cycles, and now you're looking at like full optimization. So now your sperm count is looking around, let's just say it could be even, you were at 15 million, right? So now within 6 months, you sort of processed the 2 batches of spermatogenesis, and you optimize by doing these things: sleep, diet, stress, toxins, heat, supplements. And now you're at, let's just say 44 million, right? Obviously, there's other things to take into account as far as, concentration, motility, morphology, fragmentation, testing those things, which we do offer and do. But the overall process is that there's a clear, it's clear you're getting better sperm in 72 days, okay? So what that really means is that fixing your lifestyle today equals better sperm in about 3 months from now, okay? So these things are not things that you're gonna see overnight, in a week, in 2 weeks. It's almost like going to the gym, right? You go to the gym for a week, you feel like you're kind of locked in, you're going to the gym, trying to lose weight, and you really don't see any progress in the mirror, right? It's a slow, gradual type of thing that builds up, and most people won't even tell you that. Most doctors don't tell you that. They kind of just give you a PDF and tell you to be in your way. So with this said, now we understand sort of the process of spermatogenesis and how it works and how long it takes and how long it actually takes to visibly improve your sperm at like a data level using a sperm test. But how do you actually fix it? What do you fix? Now, over here we have sort of 6 key pillars to go over and sort of fix. And I'll briefly go over this with you because we do have a video actually. It's our first video on this channel. Me and my business partner, Ashton, over here at Paternal, we went over these things in like great detail. The video is like 35 minutes long, around there. And we actually break all these things down with you, what to do, why they're bad, things like that, right? So, but for the sake of this video, I'll kind of briefly go into it a bit more and just kind of highlight these things of what to fix and maybe some tips here and there, right? So number 1 is pretty obvious. This is just like what I really, when guys come in and ask like why they're infertile, really it comes down to you're just not healthy, right? Because health equals fertility. If you're a healthy guy, you're fertile, right? If you're an unhealthy guy, and you have obesity problems and alcohol problems, whatever the case might be, bad sleep, there's a multitude of things that could be bad, then you're unhealthy, and then as a result, you're infertile, right? So that's the main premise to understand. It's very key to understand that as well, something that you should definitely take into account, and just kind of live by. If I'm healthy, I'm fertile. If I'm unhealthy, I'm infertile. Very, very simple, right? So the first thing is sort of sleep, okay? Very basic, obviously this caveats to just everything in life, like gym, whatever, just overall health. You want to get a minimum of 7 to 8 hours per night, right? Because what happens essentially when you get poor sleep is cortisol raises, right, which actually interrupts steroidogenesis, which is like, testosterone hormone production. So cortisol's up, hormones are down, testosterone's down, things like that. You also cause like stress in the body as far as like oxidative stress from bad sleep. So sleep is probably the easiest one to sort of fix in that capacity. And then you have diet, right? So just avoiding, seed oils, right? The main thing with these things is just removing as opposed to adding, right? Adding is definitely has its place, but removing is the first step. So diet is things like, adding whole foods, for example, avoiding seed oils because these seed oils are linoleic acid high in omega-6, which essentially will cause oxidative stress, which is sort of the modern killer of sperm quality is stress, especially like oxidative stress in the testes. So yeah, diet, avoid seed oils. Omega-6s, only eat whole foods, a lot of dairy, eggs, protein, a lot of fats as well, healthy fats. Yeah, stress kind of ties in with sleep as well. Obviously, sleep adds to stress. But yeah, stress are things like, stress management, right? Cortisol comes back to cortisol, right? Definitely don't put yourself in scenarios where you're stressed out a lot. If you can manage that, there's obviously ways to avoid that. But stress isn't just, like cortisol. It's also like oxidative stress at like a cell level, and that kind of ties back to seed oil. So this is essentially oxidative stress, and this is really the number one killer, like I said, of sperm count and quality. Is just oxidative stress. So yeah, that's stress, and then toxins. Things like plastics. Avoid plastics, estrogenic, wrecking your hormones. Plastic, polyester clothing. Avoid that. Obviously, replace with like linen or cotton. Organic materials, especially tight underwear. Tight polyester underwear or on your testes is not ideal. It's really bad. Heat, another thing. Saunas, hot tubs. If you're trying to have a kid and it's not working, avoid saunas and hot tubs, right? Because there's a reason why your nuts are outside of your body, right? They should be about 2 to 4 degrees lower than your body temperature, right? So about like 95, 96 degrees. They're outside your body for a reason. So saunas and hot tubs are just cooking your balls and killing sperm count, concentration, things like that, as well as fragmentation. The DNA is being spliced up. So yeah, heat, laptop on your nuts, things like that. And then so supplements as well. And not just, your random, CoQ10, zinc, and call it a day. I'm talking about like actual targeted supplementation that's tailored towards you, right? That could be a multitude of things that's tailored towards you, but it kind of depends on your scenario, right? So yeah, this essentially wraps up the video, right? And with all this in mind, right, this 3-month cycle, now it takes about 6 months, how to fix it, what to do. What's the actual process if you are a guy that's having or trying to have kids and it's not working and you're kind of lost on what to do? What does it look like to actually move forward and kind of fix this problem, right? So step 1 really is just to test, okay? All right, I'll break down for you here. Step 1 is to test, all right? These are things like at-home kits, right? You want to test your count, for example, your concentration, your motility, morphology, and then your fragmentation, right? Your DNA fragmentation. Obviously, higher fragmentation is bad. So you want to test, okay? These things. When it comes to step 1, right? So count, concentration, motility, morphology, DNA fragmentation, test those things. And then step 2 essentially is this whole process here, which is step 2, fixing the actual root cause, okay? So like I said before, these things like, sleep, right? Diet, stress, you get the point. Just actually make these lifestyle changes this way in 3 months, you're getting actual results, okay? And this you want to commit to for about 6 months, ideally, at least 72 days. So yeah, that's pretty much the process here as far as the step 3 process is actually actionable. If you want help with this, if you want accountability, hand holding, we actually do offer a custom protocol where you can book a call in the description below, talk to our team for about 30 minutes and see if we can actually help you with your fertility and sort of go from there. So the bottom line is, don't waste another year guessing, right? Now you understand that sperm generates every 3 months and it takes about 6 months to actually become fertile again, right? So that sort of wraps this video up. Hope you liked it. Leave a comment, subscribe, and we'll talk soon.